Hey y'all, how's it going? It's Mia, and Warner Brothers is currently going through it right now. Just the news of everything going on in the past 24 hours has just been something else. And it's one of those things where it's like watching a dumpster fire and you've got your popcorn, but you're also like, real people are involved in this. These are real people who work on things in the entertainment industry or, somewhere within that. And you're like, I feel really bad that this is going on right now. So basically, I think the big news that everyone knows about or has heard about since yesterday afternoon was the fact that Warner Brothers has decided to just completely scrap their Batgirl movie that they had going on. And unfortunately, I don't know if this is because of my memory or what, but I'm going to be honest, I had no clue that a Batgirl movie was in production. Did I say Batgirl in the beginning? I had no clue that a Batgirl movie was in production. It was starring Leslie Grace as Barbara Gordon from In the Heights, and then it had a star-studded cast. In addition to her, J.K. Simmons was going to be Detective Gordon or Commissioner Gordon. Michael Keaton, Michael Keaton was going to come back to play the role of Batman, and Brendan freaking Fraser was going to play the villain Firefly. And I know a lot of people are just strictly upset about the movie being canceled just because Brendan Fraser was going to be the villain. And I think I can speak for everyone when I say we really wanted to see that. Now here's the thing, because when I first saw this news, I was like, well, you know what? I saw the image for this movie, and if you see the promotional image for this movie, I don't think anyone is gonna get hyped for it. I'm sorry, it doesn't look that great, especially that kind of iconic Batgirl suit with the purple and gold or yellow accents. As someone said, it looks good in the comics, but then if you try to translate it over into live action, it doesn't look as good, or at least not this version of the suit. I'm sure you could have done a way better version of that suit, but I digress. And so I was just like, this just doesn't look like a good DC movie. And I know, especially considering they wanted to be straight to HBO Max, kind of like those straight to DVD Disney movies, you're like, okay, we know what type of quality we're gonna get with it. So in the beginning, I was willing to make an exception because I was like, well, if it was going to be a terrible movie anyway, maybe they got like halfway through or maybe through like some sort of pre-production phases, and they were like, no, this isn't going to work, they can scrap it. And I was like, you know what? Yeah, it's fine. If it's going to turn out bad, that's fine. Then come to find out, this movie, Warner Brothers dumped initially $75 million into this movie. And that rocketed to $90 million that they invested in this movie because they say some COVID-related overages, reshooting, tests, things like that. So they were really deep into this movie, and it sounds like filming was actually complete. All they had to do was, post-production stuff now. So all the actors did what they had to do. The footage is there, you can release the cut, but apparently Warner Brothers was like, man, no. So it's like, what's going on here and what happened with that decision to cut the movie completely? So let's see, on one hand, you've got, this was coming from Entertainment Weekly, and as well the New York Post is where it was originally reported, that Batgirl is shelved by Warner Brothers following poor test screenings. Okay, come on. Because according to New York Post, test screenings were received so poorly that the studio decided to shelve the nearly completed film, originally greenlit $70 million, and it blew to $90 million. And then the New York Post includes this quote from a source, quote unquote. They say, they think an unspeakable Batgirl is going to be irredeemable, which is harsh. Those are some harsh words, but also it just seems kind of sus because everyone has been talking about, okay, well, think about all the other really bad movies that came out ever, right? Like Warner Brothers just released, or it's even on DVD now, Fantastic Beasts: Secrets of Dumbledore. That movie, if we're talking about movies that should be scrapped and forgotten by all time, that is one of those movies. And so it just kind of, it's questioning, but then, okay, but there's more to the story. I'm not done yet because, obviously there's this whole thing about the merger between Warner Brothers and Discovery Media, or whatever they're called, and now they're just Warner Discovery. It's a huge, messy conglomerate, between legacy Warner Media, and then Discovery, who has just become, 90 Day Fiance and all 10 of those spinoffs and sometimes those ghost hunting shows, right? So it's a weird merger. And then not only that, on top of that, you've got this new CEO coming in. And so you've got all these decisions being made where, you're taking over the reins from the last head of the company or heads of the company, and now you're like, okay, well, I see that you've done all that, but I don't like it. So apparently Variety reported this was yesterday, that Warner Brothers decided to kill the Batgirl movie. Essentially, if I could break it down, because they feel like they have this strategy now, or this new strategy where they want to kind of edge away from HBO Max releases and move on to just full-on theatrical releases, right? Bye-bye HBO Max originals. Hello, big in-your-face going to the theater stuff again, because don't we miss that? So that's one of those things, and they also want to treat DC properties like that. So, they were kind of like, why waste our time with Batgirl on HBO Max when we could be maybe doing something else more grander with her and on theaters? And then as well, for some reason, guys, and the logic ain't logicking here, for some reason the Batgirl movie is also just not acceptable enough to release on HBO Max, which, you would kind of think, well, if you don't want to release it on theaters, which wasn't their intention anyway, then yeah, just house it on HBO Max. So to me, this is looking like a thing of profit over people, because essentially, even though they spent all that money to shoot the film and all those resources to have the film made, not to completion, but kind of close, they are essentially going to be making this film a tax write-off. Variety said releasing the movie on HBO Max would seem like the most obvious solution. Instead, the company has shelved Batgirl along with a Scoop sequel, and several sources say it almost certainly will take a write-down on both films, seen internally as the most financially sound way to recoup the costs, at least on an accountant's ledger. So, I mean, okay, there's two ways of looking at this, right? You can say that Warner Discovery were in the right because they're like, hey, it would be better to just, take the losses and hopefully do a tax write-off so that the company stays above, I shouldn't be speaking about money, but, so it looks nice on the report at the end of the day. But I have to say my problem with that is that, like I said, the profit over people is that you had all these people working hard, even if the movie was going to suck. Right? Even if the movie was just going to be rock bottom horrible, I don't think that excuses the fact that you had a team who worked on the script. You had stunt coordinators, stunt people. You had people doing the art for the movie. You had people fetching coffee. You had people creating the set, the costumes, the actor. It's like, right? You have this whole group of people who worked on something for a very long time, and now they have absolutely nothing to show for it. And I really think that is kind of a pitiful way of Warner Brothers and Warner Media Discovery approaching this, because again, I'm like, personally, if I worked on something or if you worked on something, you would want to be able to show that hard work. I mean, Sony released Morbius, Sony released Venom and Venom 2, even though Venom was okay. But you can tell, even in Venom 2, everyone, it just seemed like they knew they were making a horrible movie, but they released it. They had fun with it. Morbius got released twice now. Twice, and still flopped, but at least the people who worked on it were able to show it off and have something to prove at the end of the day. And even the directors they originally directed Bad Boys for Life and Miss Marvel, which I really enjoyed Miss Marvel, so that is kind of funny to see that apparently this movie was so bad that not even the Miss Marvel guys could pull it off. They just said they are saddened and shocked by the news. They still can't believe it. They said, as directors, it's critical that our work be shown to audiences. While the film was far from finished, we wish that fans all over the world would have the opportunity to see this and embrace the films themselves. So, yeah, that just really sucks, and I'm sure they would be super bummed. And then, on top of that, there's just been some sketchy stuff going down with Warner Media and all these cuts. Someone made a post not too long ago talking about some of the projects that have been canceled since the merger with Discovery. So you got things like CNN Plus, Gordita Chronicles, which was there were a lot of people outraged about that cancellation. Raised by Wolves, Full Frontal with Samantha Bee on TBS, another kind of Warner Media property, Joe Pera, Naomi Legends of Tomorrow, Scoob, and now Batgirl. So it just, everyone is a little suspicious of what's going on right now, especially because they're moving away from these HBO Max originals and, you know, pulling all of this great content. Even some movies have just like straight up disappeared. Like, there was a movie with Lana Condor and Cole Sprouse called Moonshot that's gone. Super Intelligence with Melissa McCarthy. The Witches remake with Anne Hathaway and Octavia Spencer is just gone. Like, why? You know, you can't just screw up these things from, you know, and just hope that it magically goes away. I think that's kind of a twisted way of looking at things, especially for media. This is like a whole nother conversation, you know, even thinking about like Beyonce removing the milkshake la 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 on her, please don't copyright, from her song, right? And I saw someone saying like, wow, music nowadays are being treated like video game patches, right? They're just getting updates. So it's one of those things where, what is it, like the ship of Theseus or whatever that Vision was talking about in WandaVision, where it's like, you know, how much can you repair and replace until it doesn't become the original thing? I know that is a totally different conversation, but I just thought I'd bring that up. So I really hope that Warner Media does not take down HBO Max. They have just proven to be really, really resourceful, and I actually think now that's probably the number one app that I watch. Like if I'm on, like, over Netflix, I think, and probably second only to Disney Plus as far as what I watch personally. So listen, Warner, number one, don't remove HBO Max. It is very, very valuable. There's a lot of people who love it. And then number two, I would just urge them to, I don't know, no one is listening, but if it were me, I would release Batgirl anyway. I don't care if it has no relationship to the DCEU, if it's got no relationship to the Batman, or if it's got no relationship to whatever other Batman stuff or DC stuff they're trying to, just release it, because DC has been doing that stuff anyway. You've got the Joker in its own world, the Batman in its world, DCU, Justice League sort of movies in their own world. So it is possible to have that without crossing lines or confusing anybody. And at the end of the day, if the movie sucks, so be it. But at least the people who worked on it got to see it come to completion, and we can finally see Brendan Fraser as the villain, which is probably the most important part. So I think that's my rambling for today. I didn't think I would have so much to say, but yeah, it's just kind of weird, and I'm going to be watching this with a close eye just to see what will be developing out of this next, because I don't know, it seems like there's a shakeup, and I just hope that at the end of the day, you want everyone to keep their job, you want everyone to be safe and sound, and so I am just hoping for the best, guys. So let me end it here. Let me know what you guys thought about the Batgirl cancellation. What would you do if you were in Discovery Warner's shoes? And I don't know, guys. Like for more, subscribe, and I will be back. I'll see you in the next video. Bye.